Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into a very special edition here of Inside Arkansas Live, mixed with the hybrid of the Bombastic podcast, because it is the NCAA selection show, Monday special show, watch along thing that we are doing here as a group on this Memorial Day on this Monday. And we'll have, of course, a little bit of a hybrid of Inside Arkansas Live later, too. But it's going to be a hodgepodge type of show, but we're here for it. John Neighbors alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon, or just this morning. I'm all over the place, guys. Let's just talk. We're having fun. Memorial Day is today. We appreciate all those who gave the ultimate sacrifice and remembering that today. But wanted to, of course, get excited about baseball. We're going to know how the Hogs' path is going to look on the way to the College World Series. How we feeling?
I feel good. I'm anxious to hear Andrew's thoughts on how he's feeling. I feel a lot less stressed with a lot less anxiety than I did when we did this for Selection Sunday a couple months ago for basketball. But Arkansas baseball is in a lot different position. So I don't know if it's because it's not the team that I cover exclusively every day, or if it's because DVH doesn't have his boys in as precarious of a position as John Calipari did. But no, I'm feeling good, man. I'm excited, looking forward to this, to see who's coming to town the next couple weekends. Okay, the next couple. Let's speak into existence now.
I like that, Curtis. Yeah, it's always exciting when you get to see what the path to Omaha looks like. And look, we can have the discussion of whether or not they're actually going to go to Omaha. We'll have that conversation, sure. But this is a day where less anxiety because you're just finding out who you're playing. Now, I texted you guys yesterday, like, I'm already like physically anxious thinking about those games and thinking about the path for Arkansas and what they're going to have to accomplish and what it's going to look like and how tense that environment's going to be. But I think today is a day of celebration. And honestly, there's some comfort, if you can call it that. I don't know if comfort's the right word, but in 2023, I felt like we all knew Arkansas got a tough draw with that TCU team. We knew that was going to be a problem. And so it's like we've been on that end of the spectrum. Last year, we felt like Arkansas got the easiest draw of all time. They squandered that as well. And so maybe there's some comfort in knowing, look, your draw is what it is. You just got to go out there and get the job done. Arkansas has failed to do that each of the last 2 years. I think they're equipped to get the job done this year. We'll see if they do it. But today's going to be exciting. I really don't think there's a path to Arkansas's regional draw being like a disaster. You know what I mean? Like maybe you'll face a tough team in the Super, but I don't really see a way in which like the way it's going to play out in the regional, unless TCU doesn't host and they send them to Fayetteville. That could be a little bit of an issue. But I'm excited to see this, man. Excited to get this going.
Yeah, I know we are going to have some fun with it, too, and looking at some of the other teams in the draw and everything, too. And I want to give a shout-out to our friends over at Trevero Clothing because they're visual sponsor of our selection show here on this Monday. And I know a lot of you that go to Dillard's, right? Yeah, you go to Dillard's and everything. You probably go there for suits and tuxes and whatnot for weddings and everything. But that's the great thing about Trevero is that they customize great suits at an affordable price for you. And you get to buy them. Stop wasting your money on renting them when you go to these occasions, whether it's weddings or anything like that. Go and ask over there at your local Dillard's to say, hey, give me the Trevero treatment and the special. And they're going to get you all suited up, squared away. We got some suits on the way to us. We were hoping they would be here in time for today's show because we were going to rock them. But don't worry, we will soon. And we'll show off all of that too. But appreciate Trevero making us a part of what they do, and we appreciate their partnership, and so you need to go check it out. But we'll have a lot of other things. But guys, it's been officially announced. Me and Curse were laughing about this, Andrew, before the show started, of just the top 4 teams now got officially announced, the top 4 seeds. And you have Arkansas, Auburn, Texas, and Vanderbilt. Now, we could talk about surprises and everything, but I just find it funny that they announced the top 4 seeds 30 minutes before they announced the entire field. I don't know what the point of that is, but hey, at least you know Arkansas is a top 4 seed.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like they've started doing this lately. I don't know what year it was that they started. I think it was maybe 2018 when they started announcing the host sites the day before. And I thought that was weird when they first started doing it. I've now come to appreciate that a little bit. Arkansas hasn't had a year where it's like, oh, are they a host? Are they not? We'll see how that works out. But like, yeah, announcing the top 4 30 minutes before. I don't know if it's just maybe a game to try and draw buzz or just get some excitement. And in this particular year, I think that there wasn't like Auburn, we were surprised that they were announced the top 4. I mean, we knew they were probably going to be a national seed, but it's like, I really don't understand what the announcement was supposed to do other than just kind of let LSU know, like, hey, you're not a top 4 seed. Let North Carolina know, hey, you're not a top 4 seed. Allow the SEC folks to flex a little bit, but I mean, I'm cool with it. It got us talking, I guess.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I was surprised to see it with Auburn. I already hit Quinn up on Twitter. Quinn, he honestly should be watching this with us. I know he's locked in on what Auburn has going on, but he should be in here with us today. But good for them. But I think that probably kind of tells us that Arkansas is going to wind up being a top 3 here. I can't imagine a world where they put Auburn ahead of Arkansas. So it's interesting, man. It's fascinating, but that cracked me up when I saw it. I was sitting here with John. I was like, is this real? Like, hang on. I had to click. I was like, make sure this is the real NCAA baseball account or whatever. Is like, okay, it's not a catfish situation here. Like, I guess this is legit. I don't remember that. I guess they've done that before in the past, but this is the first time I realized it. And I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Like, I wonder why they didn't do that for basketball or something else. Maybe they're just trying to drum up a little bit more momentum headed into the show or whatever. But that was pretty funny, man.
Yeah, because
it didn't really tell us anything about, you know what I mean? Like a lot of times, when like in the basketball reveal, whenever it was happening, every time we would see something happen, we'd be like, okay, that happened. So now this means this. There's not really that whenever you release these top 4 seeds. Like we're surprised to see Auburn, but like, I don't think it has a huge domino effect. So I really don't know. It may be just a thing. They were like, hey, we'll just do.
No way.
Man.
No way.
Come on now. Not insights. You got that good internet too.
This is 100% on Ty. It's on Ty. Like that. We love you, man, but this one's on you. Okay. Like, we're not going to blame Andrew for this. You spoke into existence, man.
Nope. Yeah. You failed it. You failed it right there. You were the problem. And we're going to leave Andrew still like that until something else changes. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, because usually his internet comes back on, but either way, we're going to leave him there. But still, going to the 4 seeds, I thought it'd be funny, like if they did it where in the morning, like at 8 a.m., they'd be like, okay, here's the national seeds, the top 8. And then an hour before, it's like, here's your 4. It's like, it just doesn't make any sense to me when you're trying to get people to watch your selection show but whatever, it's fine. It just was fascinating that they decided to do it that way.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we got you now.
Dude, we literally just lost power here in Arkadelphia. What's the weather like in Fayetteville, by the way? Because I'm almost asking about that. It's not raining in Fayetteville.
It is, but it's not storming.
Here. It's not horrible here. It just like it rained a lot yesterday, and it was storming, and it was pretty crazy. But literally had the power just go out.
Are you hotspotting it right now?
I'm hotspotting it up right now.
I was gonna say, when you came back, I was gonna be like, it just got a lot darker wherever you are. So
yeah, it definitely. Well, I was wondering, like, I guess y'all probably lost me at the same time, but like I was sitting here, I was in the middle of a sentence, and I noticed the lights go out, and I was like, okay, that's not good. And then y'all's faces froze, and I was like, oh no.
Like, here's the thing. I feel so bad for Andrew because, like, hey, his internet at home, whatever, it's that. But this guy can't even go and have internet somewhere else without the power going out on him on Selection Monday. Like, come on. Like, that's brutal. That's brutal. But glad listen, I'm glad you got the technology. You can still make it work, still keep going strong. So hopefully get power back there. Hopefully it comes back on. Man, just can't catch a break in that. But
hey, if you listen, I am related to the man who controls the entire power grid in Arkadelphia. So you just text me the address and I'll get you set back up ASAP.
I mean, hell, I might have to do that.
I'm not even kidding.
Laptop dies, I'm going to do that, Curtis.
Okay.
Man, just hey, listen, it's going to be a great day. That's not an omen. All right, it's going to be a great day. Arkansas is going to get a great draw. There's no purple Big 12 teams coming to Fayetteville. None of that stuff.
Lights out on the Razorback season. Dang it.
Oh man. Yeah, that's not going to happen. But listen, folks, I know we'll talk about obviously everything with the draw and all of that, because we're about just a few minutes away from it starting up. But once we get through that too, we'll also get into best and worst of the weekend presented by our friends over at Looper Auction and Realty. We'll also get into all your chats and vibe checking it with Basis Health and Alumni Hall question of the day, all that. So it's just going to be a very interesting special show. Guys, I don't even know if you guys feel the same way. I'm not talking about the meaning of the day, but I don't even feel like it's a holiday today. I feel like it's just another day, other than the fact that we started our live stream a little early because of this. But I know a lot of people are probably out on the lake or on the beach and all that stuff, but we're over here grinding, talking about some Razorback baseball draws in the postseason, because this is what's important. This is what the fans want. They want to finally break through, especially after softball's disappointment yesterday, which we don't have to talk about right now. But this is going to be the time where we get to see the pathway and get excited about it and get ready for great, as you said, Kurt, couple weekends in Fayetteville. Because I know you guys have covered a few. The past haven't been that great. But man, there's nothing better than when Arkansas is in those regionals and super regionals in Baum and Fayetteville, and the excitement and the electricity and the winning to go along with it. As long as the weather's not stupid hot, which it has been, which I know can't avoid it, but man, there's just nothing better than that when you have postseason in your home stadium and on your campus. Like, that's such a unique and cool thing that baseball has going for them.
Oh, dude, it's awesome, man. I've experienced my best and worst baseball memories in Baum in the same year covering that team. You know, like I remember having the regional there. It's 2021, whatever year it was. And, you know, they were playing NJIT in that first game. And I snuck down from the press box and I was interviewing Barry Dunning. See, he had just finished up his visit to Arkansas. You couldn't give him tickets for a regional because that's a recruiting violation. So they had to, quote unquote, the family got their own tickets and stayed around after the visit or whatever. But they were there, and I found Barry Dunning and I was interviewing him, and he was talking about, you know, Arkansas and how much he enjoyed the visit. And we were mid interview, and I don't remember who it was, but a Razorback hit a home run. And he just got the biggest smile on his face and everything. He was like, "This is what I'm talking about, man." I was like, "All right, this kid's committing. This is great." But then, you know, like the whole scene there with the Charlie Welch bomb and everything, you know, a couple days later was just incredible. They had just opened it back up to kind of full capacity in Baum. It was so awesome. It was this unbelievable moment. I'll never forget it. And then 1 week later, the way it all went down with cops and NC State and all that, and they're dogpiling on our field. And I'm like, what the heck is this? But there's nothing like it, man. It's just such a cool time. It's always packed out. I don't know what the other host situations are like. And I think, you know, John, I know you went to North Carolina. I think both, you know, you guys have both been to Oklahoma State or whatever, but I just have a feeling that Fayetteville does it better than anybody else. I'm really, really looking forward to it, man.
I tell you, man, I think this year has to be the year Arkansas needs to buck the idea that like hosting is a bad thing. Because if you look at Arkansas baseball's history under Dave Van Horn, a lot of their best runs have come on the road. I mean, 2009, 2012, 2015, 2022, they go on the road. And for all those teams, it kind of felt like that's where they kind of found their mojo. Like, it's kind of like they needed to, especially 2022. It felt like they needed to go on the road. I think this is the year, man. Like, we got to stop with that mentality. Obviously, the results have to be there, and that's why we feel that way. We feel scarred. But I think that, you know, nothing brings a fan base together like postseason. You mentioned that 2021 season and how it just felt like a dream, you know, like everything that was happening, that Florida series to finish the year, the regional. And like, that was, I mean, that regional moment with Charlie Welch, one, it's the intro to the Bombastic podcast, but like, is there a better like Arkansas fan moment? Not really, you know? And so it's like, it can create something so cool like that. The baseball team, you just got to meet us halfway. You got to give us a little bit, because Hog fans are going to be crazy. And it was weird. I was talking to Chris Lanzilli about it because he played on that 2022 team. And I was like, and he's going to be here, by the way, this weekend. And I was like, man, it's kind of crazy that you didn't really get to experience that, you know, because they had some good home series in 2022, but like the biggest moments of that season didn't take place at home. I think this is going to be a weekend. We got to reclaim Baum Walker Stadium, and I have no doubt the fan base is going to be out in full force, and it's going to be quite the atmosphere.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I guess the show has officially started, so we're going to be watching along. I know basketball, football, I guess baseball. You know, I don't know what they do for the NCAA baseball theme, but that's what I'm going to go with. But either way, we got this starting up, and again, watch along with us, and we'll give our full reactions to what ends up happening with the Razorback baseball team and the draw, who they'll be facing, who they could potentially be facing in the super regionals, and what the pathway is going to look like. So real quick before we start looking at this, because who knows, Arkansas could be the first team mentioned, they could be the last team mentioned. But for you guys, is there a team that you guys want to avoid as much as possible, like for any reason? And when it comes to the draw, you're going to have to face somebody at some point. But when it comes to the supers, or even if you get to Omaha, what's the team that you feel like Arkansas needs to avoid the most at all cost?
I will take the easy answer because Andrew knows way more about this than me. I would embrace it because it would be absolutely chaotic. I'm not going to lie, the thought of Tennessee in a super scares the hell out of me. And given everything that's been going on with Ole Miss and Arkansas this athletic calendar year, I'd probably pass on that one too. Outside of that, I don't care. Bring it.
Yeah, I mean those are the big ones. Like obviously those would be a potential super regional matchup, and I think we're gonna find out because both I think Tennessee and Ole Miss are gonna be in that 12 to 16 range, and Arkansas is gonna be in that 1 to 4 range, obviously. So it's like we're gonna find out where they are, but I'd like to avoid those. Outside of the SEC, I got to be honest with you. Not that there's no good teams, although I will say Florida State, who is going to end up being, maybe, who knows where they'll end up in the non-national seed range. They are super talented. They're probably the closest ACC team I can think of to the SEC in terms of just a pure talent standpoint. They have this lefty, Jamie Arnold, who's just an absolute nightmare. LSU is also a team that, of course, Arkansas is not going to face them in the regional or the super regional. Oh, wait, are we finding out? Arkansas is officially the number 3 overall seed, by the way. Is that breaking news?
There we go. Yeah.
That's big time stuff. So we'll see in that 14 spot, and we'll be kind of waiting with bated breath there. But I think LSU is a team that we spoke about, obviously, when Arkansas played them a couple weeks ago. And I was a little bit worried that Arkansas, which, well, looks like LSU might be the 6.
It's interesting.
North Carolina's the 5. I was a little bit worried that Arkansas and LSU would be the 4-5 because I was like, oh, man, that'd be your first game in Omaha is against them. It looks like Arkansas will start there. If they make it to Omaha, they would potentially be playing LSU in the 3-6 game now, which is cool. But that's one that I'm not necessarily thrilled about just because I think LSU is one of those teams that matches up pretty well with Arkansas. But I will say, Arkansas, the one thing that Arkansas has over LSU is pitching depth. So if Arkansas is on the same side of the bracket as LSU, if you think you have better pitching depth than someone, you'd rather face them in a regional format than a 3-game series format. So maybe that's an advantage for Arkansas having LSU on their side because we saw in that series, by the time it got to Sunday, Arkansas had more options than LSU. But hey, you're going to face the best teams, and I think if you can face those best teams in Omaha, but no doubt about it, Curtis, I'm with you that facing Tennessee or Ole Miss would not be ideal. Although I got to say, I know Ole Miss just beat Arkansas, and they had a really mediocre pitcher put it to Arkansas the other day. I fear Tennessee a lot more than I fear Ole Miss, despite the fact that Arkansas just beat Tennessee at Baum Walker 2 weeks ago.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Oh, Vandy gets Wright State as the 4 seed in that regional. That might be the toughest 4 seed out there. That's a tough one. They're the number 1 overall seed. But I know they do a lot of that in baseball with geography, right? Like they try to limit plane flights and all that. So
we definitely need more transparency in the future years about the process. And obviously we kind of know that it's like, okay, you're ranking the teams and then you're just doing regional stuff. I definitely feel like there needs to be more transparency into how they make some of these decisions because it's pretty much impossible to predict, and it's never one that like everyone feels good about.
Yeah. Well, and I was like seeing Vandy as the number 1 seed, not saying like that was the biggest shock in the world, but definitely winning the SEC tournament helps. But it's nice to see them as a number 1 overall seed because I remember Arkansas when they were the number 1 overall seed in 2021. I think even Dave said in his press conference, whatever, but he was just like, we got a tough draw here for a 1 seed, and it ended up being the case. So fine, good. Vandy can have all that nonsense. They can have that tough draw and everything like that. I'm fine with it. But I don't even know if I used to think that regionals mattered when it came to, if you got a team in your area, they're going to give you that team. It's like, I think they went by the wayside when Arkansas started having NJIT and Eastern Connecticut Central State or whatever that was that one time. So not even for that, but Southern Miss.
So Southern Miss is the 16. So we were talking before the show, like, hey, what if Arkansas snuck them for a super? But
yeah, we will not be getting. Will we not be getting Southern Miss? I gotta say this, guys. I think Texas and Vanderbilt might be the least threatening top 2 overall seeds in the history of this tournament, besides maybe Arkansas last year. Although I guess they weren't the top 2.
Yeah. Well, also too, this is just random, but Oregon State had a tie game this year. Like they had a game that ended in a tie. How stupid is that?
Oregon State has had the most fascinating season of all time, where they were not in a conference. They literally just played a bunch of games. They played like 29 road games or something like that. Like they played like an unreal amount of games, and they played like 16 neutral games. Like they only played like a handful of home games. I think they're a team that nobody knows what the committee was going to do with them, because it's like you could kind of make a case that they're a top 5 or 6 team. You could also be like, oh, this team sucks. They probably shouldn't even be hosting at all. And so it's going to be interesting to see what their draw looks like, how the committee treats them.
Alabama is going to come out of that Southern Miss regional.
Yep.
That was kind of what I was hoping for, because obviously we talked about Tennessee and Ole Miss. Those are SEC teams you don't want to face. Not to say I would want to face Alabama, but that was something I was like prepared to, if Arkansas was 3-14 against Southern Miss, lined up with Southern Miss Regional, if Bama came out of that, like I would much rather that situation. Facing Alabama in the Super is a lot more. It's not the same as facing two teams that you've already played that have already kind of matched up with you pretty well.
Right.
Yep. So there you have it as far as the 16 and the 1 seeded regionals and what those will look like. Probably going to be Vanderbilt and Alabama in the Supers, which would be fun. I just assume that if there's an SEC team, you're going to have it there. But the Tallahassee regional coming up now.
Now we're going 8-9 here.
Yeah.
Florida State got the 9. I saw them at like 11 or 12 in a few projections. That might be a little higher.
Well, it's weird. Florida State was at a couple of weeks ago. There was a chance Florida State was going to be the top non-SEC team. Then their poop pushed in by North Carolina, who finished the year really strong. But a couple of weeks ago, I thought Florida State was like by far the best non-SEC team. I still kind of feel that way, if I'm being honest with you. Like I still am more scared of Florida State than I am North Carolina, even though North Carolina just beat them. I think Florida State has a little bit more talent.
Mississippi State going to Tallahassee. How about that?
Shout out to the interim Bulldogs. Ooh, Northeastern a 3.
So a couple teams that have been projected for Arkansas have already been, because Miami was projected to go to Arkansas in the Baseball America regional, and I believe Northeastern was projected as the 2 seed. Neither of those are happening. So all signs are starting to point to Kansas being Arkansas's 2 seed.
Shocking. Yeah. At least they're not a purple Big 12 team. They're just
we got to at least get we got to get at least one surprise, because everybody's been projecting, the Kansas Creighton Little Rock thing.
But here's the conspiracy Razorback fans are going to go through. Kansas, they're red and blue. What's red and blue combined? Purple Big 12. Going to happen. It's like there's somebody's going to start saying all that stuff. But
Oregon State and Florida State paired up is interesting.
Yeah. The Corvallis regional. It's going to be the revenge.
Their baseball facility, like they're in the cages watching this right now in Corvallis.
Bunch of poors. Yeah, terrible. You couldn't imagine losing to them. Because they're the only non-SEC team to win a title in the past 10 years, right?
I think they're the literal last one.
I know that. I
literal last non-SEC team to win a title.
It's a bunch of crap. But yeah, it'll work. I love this. Whoever
these guys are, boy.
They're in their basketball court, just hanging out. Could not be further away from the camera.
Let's get the wide shot, the wide and tall shot that has the entire facility in the view. Let's go with that one.
Yeah, this one's very West Coast, man.
Yeah, USC fighting Eric Musselman's.
Yep.
By the way, I see Arkansas.
TCU.
Pig Poner 69 says it's a 400-mile radius. Kansas has to come to Arkansas. They will. They're every year. There's going to be a team that is way over that 400-mile radius. Hell, Arkansas hosted Central Connecticut and the New Jersey
AIT. Right.
They obviously they will try to keep it as regional as possible, but they don't have to.
Right. Yeah, because it's also
depends on who the hosts are, if they can do it or not.
Yeah, and it's dadgum impossible. I mean, to really make everything go perfectly where it's just regional. I think there was maybe one time when Arkansas it was like Oral Roberts and then Missouri State or something like that, where it was everybody within a certain radius. But I just don't think you're ever going to get that perfectly done. Just not going to happen.
At least there's always going to be Northeastern teams that are not, all the hosts are in a certain area. It's like there's always going to be one, and it's never ideal.
Yeah, Chapel Hill. But real quick, Chapel Hill. They're talking about that in North Carolina. We'll say shout out to Chapel Hill in North Carolina. Literally the nicest fans, coolest campus. The coach was awesome, like the most respectful dude. Loved Dave Van Horn, was so cool. So they always root for North Carolina baseball. So, but they good for them.
Y'all like this
Holy
guy?
Cross is ready, bro.
Holy Cross, the Crusaders. That dude was hitting that, yeah.
Yeah, a little different reaction than those poor softball girls that ended up getting Oklahoma drawing that. Yeah, a little different there.
Nebraska wouldn't even made it if they wouldn't have won the conference tournament, man.
And they know it.
They got on a heater.
They know it too. That's the golf claps of golf claps for Nebraska. Like, what are y'all doing here? Just
OU.
Okay.
Interesting. I'll be honest with you. I think Oklahoma is going to be a team that people are like trendy upset pick to win that regional, and they're not going to win that regional.
Once they get past the first arm, they
now Oklahoma does have maybe the best arm they have one of the best arms in the country. I wonder if they're going to save him for the North Carolina game.
Right.
Yeah. Could end up being. Man. Okay. Well,
by the way, let me ask y'all a question. Do y'all have a preference before we get to it on like what Arkansas should do or what they will do in terms of when they pitch Zach Root? Now, obviously, Zach Root is not the most sturdy of aces Arkansas's had lately, so it may not matter at all. Do you think they should just throw Zach Root game 1 against the 4 seed and say F it, then save Wood for the game against the good team?
Yeah,
I would.
I would too. I don't know that I would do unless you absolutely had to, I would do everything I could to avoid the Root Gackle thing in the first game. Like keep him available for the rest of the weekend. Hopefully you just get up 8-0 in the second inning. You don't have to worry about it,
Run rule him. Yeah, just run rule him, all of that.
I thought about is that Gage Wood, I feel like, is the type of pitcher that a 4 seed would literally have zero chance against. Like, obviously, your 4 seed shouldn't have a chance against you anyway. But, like, I think the 4 seed's going to see Gage Wood throwing 98, and they're going to be like, okay, we don't have anything for this. So it'd probably be like the easiest way possible.
Right.
Yeah, guys, I just get this, and I'm looking at all the draws and everything like that. You know that Arkansas now is going to be matched up with Ole Miss or Tennessee in that super. You know it is. It's set up now.
It's got to be one of the two almost.
It's going to happen.
I
hate the NCAA. I hate you so much. Dude, I cannot handle that. I don't know what would be worse at this point in time. Losing to Ole Miss in a super or losing to Tennessee in a super. You got to get through the regional first, but geez, like, come on, man. Like, give us something different. My goodness. But I just saw that. I was like, oh, those teams have not been announced yet. So that probably means
there's Coastal is the 13. Yeah. Damn it. This is happening, isn't it?
So who would you rather not have Ole Miss?
UCLA is the only other one.
Okay, so Tennessee or Ole Miss, who would you rather have if you're going to have to choose between the two?
I'd rather have Ole Miss.
Yeah,
me too. Because Bianco's not as good of a coach as Vitello. If it comes down to that, I'm going to go with that.
This is wild.
Ole Miss played well in Hoover, and like I just like don't think that matters. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think they were trending. It's not like it combines like Tennessee. I guess Tennessee kind of finished the year a little bit shaky, so maybe you could make the argument that Tennessee is bottomed out a little bit. But I feel like Tennessee is better than their record shows, and I feel like Ole Miss is probably overachieved to get to this point. Whereas Tennessee, I feel like is a legit like top 5, top 10 type of team. Ole Miss, I think, is good, but I don't think they like did anything crazy. I think it probably played out how it needed to for them.
Yeah. Number 4 seed Auburn gets Coastal Carolina, and Arkansas is going to end up getting Tennessee or Ole Miss. Garbage.
And Tennessee, I don't want to see. I know they just did it, and we talked about it. But like Tennessee with Liam Doyle, and then the arm that they pitched the night before against us, he's really live, man. Like Arkansas did well against those guys, but those are 2 big time arms that can really compete with you. If you get deep into their bullpen, you're fine. But I don't know, man. And they can swing it too.
Riley Maddox, Ole Miss's number 2 starter, just pitched the game of his life against Arkansas. Now, that is concerning in and of itself. It really is. And I was very disappointed with it in the moment. And I talked about it on the show after. I don't think he could do that again. I really don't. I don't think he's capable of doing that again. I think that was like something that I think we will look back on and be like, wow, that was kind of crazy. I think now Arkansas would be facing him for a 3rd time this year. They've also faced that kid like 9 times in his career. I think I would feel decent about that matchup. I wouldn't feel great, but I would feel better than Tennessee for sure.
Yeah, Auburn and Quinn better be nice to Central Connecticut because they got them. They got NC State too. Go, okay, have it. You can have it, Auburn.
I love that NC State's at the PBR bar doing their watch party.
Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah. Real quick, I know they're got to do Arkansas, but guys, looking at positive vibes only. Who would feel better to beat in the Super Regional, Tennessee or Ole Miss? Who would feel better?
Tennessee easily.
Tennessee,
I feel better.
I think so too. Although it would be nice to get a little bit of revenge on Auburn for the Super Regionals in softball, or Ole Miss even Super Regional softball. But yeah, Tennessee I feel like would be better.
Yeah. I mean, hell, Arkansas's beaten Ole Miss in a Super before, so that'd be cool. I mean, and look, maybe that's the way we need to look at it. What's going to be the most satisfying victory? But I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah, well, we're getting closer to Arkansas getting announced here.
They're getting ready to take a break, aren't they?
Of course, that's what they do. I mean, yeah. Yep. Yeah. Because they're showing everybody else. That is a break, a little transition if I've ever seen one right there. Just like, we got to get the ads in. Make it happen. So, no, that's fine.
All right.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, as part of that too, we will also do a little ad space here too, because we want to show some love and appreciation to our friends over at Hickey and Hole Law, because they are one of our newest sponsors here, and they're going to be officially sponsoring the Bombastic Podcast postseason throughout the entire postseason run, all the way to Omaha, because that's what's going to be happening. Just remember, folks, divorce and custody cases are too important to try to face them alone. So let Hickey and Hole Law provide you with persistent and diligent representation, help guide you through the entire process, where they've handled thousands of family law cases and experienced nearly every scenario that has come up. They push the case forward for all their clients, advocating for them in a diligent and consistent manner from start to finish. They know how every case that they take is going to be so important, and they strive to give each and every one of them the utmost time and care that they deserve. Hickey and Hole have offices in all of Arkansas, in Fayetteville, Fort Smith, Little Rock, Mena. You can call them today at 479-434-2414, or you can check out their website, visit hickeyandhole.com, or you can scan that QR code up there in the top right of your screen. It's Hickey and Hole Law. Things are about to get better. We appreciate their sponsorship there. Also, want to give a shout out, because I know we'll get back to it, but we haven't said this on social media, but we're going to be doing some postseason action for Bombastic at Foghorns over there next to Bomb. So a lot of people go there before the game, after the game. Every single time with regionals and supers, Arkansas has a game there, post game at Foghorns over there at Bomb. We're all going to be over there hanging out, having a good time, celebrating wins, kill, celebrate, kill again, celebrate again. That's what we're going to be doing over at Foghorns and in Bomb. So I want to give a shout out. So that's going to be really fun. But I'm excited about it. I know everyone's stressed about the regionals and stressed about because of what the past 2 years are. But I try to at least say, all right, this is fun though. You still got to remember it's fun. It's fun to be in postseason. And it's also the coolest thing about baseball. It's the biggest sport, college sport, that still has legit postseason at home. I know that college football has added that a little bit now, which is great, but it's so much fun whenever because people are like, I don't want a national seed. I don't want to host because that doesn't mean we don't go to Omaha. No, I want it, man. I want it to have in Bomb, and I want the fans to be rewarded for it. So if you've never been, try to go. It's so much fun. I'm going to ask you guys real quick, though, prediction. Do you think Dave does the 2 p.m. or the 7 p.m. game on Friday? Which one do you think he goes with?
2 p.m. for sure.
Okay.
He's an early bird, and he likes that worm.
That's true. Let me see the weather, actually, for Friday, what we're looking at now. Oh, it looks great. So good matter.
That's another thing is if the thing gets postponed a little bit, he wants to get his game in and then let the night game run the risk of everything. Whereas if you get your first game postponed, that means you're going to have a quick turnaround for game 2. He likes to have that where if he does have to use Gabe Gackle for 2 innings on Friday at 3:45, if you're bringing him back Saturday at 11 p.m., a little bit different than if you had pitched him Saturday and that kind of thing.
Hey, we got to do this. Shout out to our guy Quinn. Appreciate the super chat, Quinn. Thank you so much,
man.
Love it. He says,
I like
your
draw, man.
I like your draw there too. There's a pathway, man, for Auburn. I'm officially they're going to be my adopted team unless they face Arkansas.
Yes,
I'm comfortable doing that, even though it's Auburn.
I like that. Now they're lined up with Coastal, right?
Yes.
They should have lined them up with Southern Miss and then had Alabama in that Southern Miss regional to where it would have possibly been the Iron Bowl Super.
Yeah.
Oh man, that would have been great.
Who else is in that coastal? I know they just showed it. Who's in that coastal region?
I'll have to pull it up. I wish there was a place you could just see it. Oh, it's a Fairfield, East Carolina, and Florida.
So Auburn's playing Florida.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Who was the 2 in Auburn's?
NC State.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they'll be right.
So we got Texas playing Houston Christian in their Austin regional. Sweet. How about that?
UTSA might be in that one. Okay, there's Kansas State, which they couldn't come anyway.
Goodness, go away. I hate you, Kansas State. Yeah, so they're moving on there.
They just mentioned the win over Arkansas.
Shut up. It's on TV on mute. I don't want to hear it. Don't want to see it. Don't want to.
UTSA. I was in the depths of my mind. I was like, maybe they won't send them to Texas and could sneak them in. Oh well.
And yeah, that's what I also love about I'm not hating, but like these like smaller schools, when you see the video of them, it's just, you can see the difference between like a big SEC program and facilities. And then you see these little programs where like, yeah, we're hanging out in the one of our football suites, that have the hot dog machine in the back, making that happen. So
they haven't shown Arkansas yet. I'm assuming they're just in their super nice facility, like the locker room common area, the ping pong tables and such.
All right, UCLA.
There it is. They're the 15.
Arkansas officially is playing an SEC team in the Super Regionals if they make it.
Golly, dude. But also another thing too, Arkansas, say if they faced an Ole Miss, 2019, Arkansas faced Ole Miss in the Supers and Bomb, and they won. So, hey, maybe, you know what? Arkansas has been losing to non-SEC teams in postseason play. Maybe that's the key, is you got to play SEC teams to win, because they did the same thing at South Carolina in 2018. So maybe that's the key to it all.
I'll allow it.
I'll allow it too. I will say Arkansas also did literally win a series at Ole Miss. Now it didn't help them in Hoover, but they're definitely like, we'll do the song and dance and say we're not thrilled about it. Ole Miss and Tennessee, I do not feel the same way about it. I'll just make that clear. And like, look, if Ole Miss fans want to clip this out and be like, "See, we told you," I'm not saying they literally just beat Arkansas Friday. They absolutely could beat Arkansas with any of their pitchers. Hunter Elliott's a really good ace, but Arkansas usually does better against those left-handed aces, especially one that doesn't throw as hard as Liam Doyle. I think Arkansas would do decent against Hunter Elliott the second time around. And anytime you can face a team in the postseason that you've beaten a series at their place and you get to play them at home, I don't think you should be too bent out of shape about it.
Oh, well, there we go. Oxford.
Wow.
They got the 10. We're getting Tennessee, boys.
Okay, so by the way, I gotta say, this is mean of the NCAA tournament committee doing this.
This is,
dude,
wow.
That's awesome.
Y'all just heard me say I would have rather play Ole Miss. NCAA tournament committee, you should have lobbed me up for that, dude. Murray State's fired up too. The guy's doing pass block sets.
Electric, boys. Electric.
Because I think, I'm not going to say that I came up with this, but I want to say maybe we talked about like how we were like, oh man, because it was on last week when D1 baseball had them matched. I'm like, dude, imagine how that's.
We were doing the like the Cal Patino but on steroids thing.
Yep.
Goodness.
The NCAA did this on accident. Like, oh, what? We had no idea.
High for
there. What? Come on.
I think a 10 is a little bit high, if I'm being honest with you. They do have a lot of SEC wins, though, I will say.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like, I think it's crazy that. Okay, so now I guess this is Ole Miss. I saw Zach Root, and I was like, oh, wait, we're doing Arkansas stuff. No, it was just Zach Root giving them a hit. It is also funny that I think they on purpose had Arkansas and Tennessee as the last teams to be revealed here. By the way, once this thing gets announced, John, are you prepared for me to do a little switcheroo to my phone?
Whatever you need to do, buddy.
Well, that is going to be what I will need to do.
Okay. So that's fine. Whatever you need to do.
But I'm going to make it through here.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I mean, hey, you got to do what you got to do, man. That's what happens here. Athens Regional. Coming up.
Creepy,
bro. A dog.
Georgia, man.
So where's Georgia and Ole Miss would play in a super then.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
I feel like that would be actually pretty fun. Like, pretty electric if that happened. We're playing the team from the United Kingdom, Binghamton Bearcats. And every time I see that school, I'm like, are they in the United Kingdom? Like, what kind of college name is that?
So who are the options left? It would be
Clemson and Tennessee.
Or Clemson. Okay.
Would you rather have Tennessee?
That would be funny if we did all this song and dance and then it's just Clemson.
Yeah. Oklahoma State is going up against Georgia. Ooh, that'll be always fascinating. And Duke, the Blue Devils. I'm not saying that that's like the toughest draw, but that's kind of for Georgia. That's a tough little regional there.
Yeah. I mean, if you have to show Mizzou highlights in your NCAA tournament package,
it ain't it.
Might be overrated. I'm just saying.
While we wait, can either one of y'all do me a favor and email me a link to this so I can get in via my phone?
I got you.
As soon because like my laptop's, I guess what percent are we on here? Laptop is on 11%, so I'll do the switcheroo as close as I can down to the 0.
Andrew, I'm so sorry.
I think I'll be able to get through the. I'll get
I'm
through the
so
announcement.
sorry. So sorry, Andrew.
So they could send Tennessee to Baton Rouge.
Man,
Which they've played in Baton Rouge this year. I mean, I guess they've also played in Fayetteville, so it doesn't really
come on,
matter.
LSU. That's the worst.
Oh, they sent Little Rock there.
Oh,
So we're not getting Little Rock. Damn it.
That's honestly who I wanted was Little Rock.
I know. Oh wow. Okay.
Trojans.
I'm
Go
trying to think
go
of other
Little
teams
Rock.
are that could be that for.
Man, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
20. I love to see that 24-32. So wait a
Rhode
minute. So you're
Island.
telling me that, like, and I'm not hating on Little Rock, but like they probably that's probably the worst 4 seed of the whole deal, and you gave them to LSU at the 6 seed.
Dude, they were like the 6 seed in their conference tournament.
They won 5 games in 5 days too. They were 19-32 coming into.
Rhode Island got that Ozarks
TCU.
go. They were blurry,
Yeah, they did.
rough.
This is a weak
Dallas.
regional, dude.
Dude, what?
That's paper soft, bro.
That's stupid.
Well, now we're really about to figure out what this is going to look like.
I know. I don't
Are
like
y'all
this.
tense?
I don't like it either.
Oh man, we're gonna know in 5 seconds.
I'm already getting texts. My LSU buddies are not happy with getting DBU. They're
Oh,
they're
give
not
me a
thrilled about it.
break, dude.
Get over yourself. Jeez.
And now, what regional is this lined up with again? We don't know yet.
Oh my God, it's official.
Are you serious?
All righty. So Clemson's lined up with LSU. Tennessee's lined up with Arkansas.
I can't believe they did it.
This has to be the only time this has happened, where there literally was a series played 2 weeks ago that featured Arkansas and Tennessee.
Yeah. Wow, man. This is insane. Hey, you know what? I can't say it. Vuck the Falls.
Yep.
Vuck the Falls. That's interesting. Yeah, it doesn't roll off the tongue like
No,
Tuck,
it had to be
Texas,
very,
does it?
very big on the
Dude.
Oh, Kentucky got in. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Crap.
Interesting.
Clemson. I thought they were out.
Yeah, there were like
Dang.
7 teams that stole bids, so I started getting a little worried about them.
So Kansas for sure and Creighton for sure.
Yeah.
And then who cares for the 4, I guess.
Yeah, that is the exact way this is playing out here. By the way, I know some people were asking about Texas A&M. We didn't think they were going to make the tournament. They are not going to make the tournament. I think we now are at the point where it's official they're not making the tournament.
Yeah,
they're in
Kentucky's
Tennessee's
in. There's no
regional.
way. Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's so crazy, dude.
The
So
good news is, saves me a lot of time for the super regional primer. I don't have to watch Clemson. I don't have to do a bunch of research. I already did a preview pod for this very series. So if it does end up being Arkansas, Tennessee.
Yeah. So we'll see theirs first. Who's going to beat Tennessee in their own regional and come to Arkansas?
Let's find out who our favorite team for the weekend is.
Yep. They did it. They actually freaking did it, man. That's what's crazy. Let's see.
Okay.
Tennessee's got Miami of Ohio. What is that? The Fighting Ben Roethlisbergers, I think. What their mascot is. All right, yeah. Okay, go Miami of Ohio. Cincinnati.
They're going to get a cakewalk here, man.
Dude, Tennessee's going to score 193 runs in this regional.
Yeah, they are. They'll probably give up 180, but yeah.
Wake Forest. The fighting Chris Lanzilli's, the fighting Matt Hobbs.
All right, Wake Forest is my team.
Yeah, me too. Vols are probably getting through there.
Hey,
though.
Chase Burns isn't there anymore, right?
No, he's not. It is the Chase Burns Bowl, though.
Yeah, it is. It is. Golly, dude, they actually freaking did it.
Oh.
All right, show us what we got, Magic Ball. Also, this is literally the last regional, right?
Yeah,
It's an Arkansas thing now.
I was about to say that's back-to-back selection shows were the last one. At least we didn't have to book travel for this one.
On what reasoning do you like? Hey, we're gonna wait for the 3 seed regional to be dead last. Like, what is that?
It's when you have Arkansas and Tennessee fan bases waiting on.
Here we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Here we go.
Who's the
they're in
adopted
the meeting room?
The adopted team in Fayetteville coming up.
Not a lot of energy from the lads, if I'm being honest with you.
Oh.
Dude, they're still pissed about softball last night. I would be too.
No way.
Dude,
Oh, no, Andrew, you poor bastard.
come on.
Well, North Dakota State is going to be the 4 seed here against Arkansas. 20-32. They're 12 games under 500. There's Creighton.
Yep.
We know Kansas is going to be next.
Yep. I mean, they wow.
Until we get Andrew back, Creighton won the Big East. The Big East stinks, but they did win 41 games. They did beat Kansas State this season. They beat Nebraska 2 out of 3. They got a dude, Nolan Sailors, who's hitting about 400. He's stolen almost 30 bases, so he's really good at the top of the order. Not a whole lot of pop with those guys. Their arms have some really, really good numbers, but they also haven't faced a lot of great competition. Kansas is pretty good, man. They've got a dude, Bollinger, who is first team All Big 12. They got one really, really good arm. They're talented. There's Andrew. I just gave a full scouting report on Creighton, by the way.
I know. You texted us last night, and you were like, if it's Kansas, Creighton, and I think there was a couple other teams, you were like, I'm ready to roll. And so I was
dude, I was ready for it, brother.
Yeah. I love that. You mentioned you were talking about Kansas there. It's funny. Mm-hmm. So Kansas, their park, I've never been to their park. I don't think it plays small at all. Because I remember when Tavian Josenberger was there, he only hit 1 home run. When Jack Wagner was there, he only hit 1 home run. The fact that they're putting up some offensive numbers this year really concerns me. Because I'm like, I think that that actually is a legit offense. Now, not a swing and miss pitching staff from Kansas, at all. I think they have less strikeouts than innings pitched for their staff overall. A lot of their top arms are that kind of way, where they're kind of pitch to contact guys, which has to make you feel pretty good if you're Arkansas, because you just haven't faced teams like that in a while. And I think it's also fair to wonder, has Kansas faced anybody like Arkansas all year?
Right. Yeah, for sure. Cooper Moore is that arm that they have at the top of the rotation there. It was an all Big 12 guy. I just saw a stat on him that he's given up 3 runs or less in 9 of his 12 starts this year. So that's pretty good. And then he's also a guy who – oh, did we lose him again? Oh, no. That's too bad.
Oh, he's back.
Okay, there we go. He's back. That's good. But yeah, you were talking about the power there with Kansas. Yeah, the Bollinger guy that was a Big 12 first team. He had 16 home runs. They got another dude, Jackson Haug, who hit 19. Another guy in that lineup, Brady Council, who hit 12. They got 3 guys who have 9. Another guy who has 8. Everybody in that order has 6 or more. So you're right. They got some. They got a little bit of thump there with the bat.
Curtis, you know who that Council is, right? That's
no,
Craig's son.
Is it really his kid?
It is 1,000% Craig's son.
Do we have the same batting stance, or has he got his own thing?
I don't think it's as bad as, I don't think it's as high up as Craig Council's, but that is his son for sure.
Dang, man. I like it.
Creighton's the team that a lot of people are like, I've seen a lot of people being like, oh, I don't want to see Creighton. And I know it's elitist of us to be like the SEC team that's like, oh, they haven't played anybody, but Creighton hadn't played anybody. And honestly, Kansas is that way a little bit. Now, the Big 12 is obviously not some scrub conference or anything. I believe Kansas is 5-7 against quad 1 competition, which isn't a horrible number or anything. Arkansas is 14-10. And so there's just a lot bigger sample size of Arkansas testing themselves against these teams. Now, Kansas has played some good squads, but I think they look a little bit more human when they played the TCUs of the world, when they played some of those top shelf Big 12 teams. I think for Arkansas, when you're facing Kansas and Creighton, you have to take a lot of comfort and solace in the fact that these teams have not seen they're going to be presenting something to you that you've seen a lot of. You're going to be presenting something to them that they have not seen. And I think there's something to be said for that for sure. And I know it's obviously an easy take for, when you're facing Creighton. But I think Hog fans that are a little bit worried about this matchup, the fact that we've seen Arkansas tested against some of these top teams, and we can talk about how they match up with some of those top teams. I think this Arkansas team is equipped to beat average teams thoroughly, and they've made a living off doing that this year.
Yeah, for sure. And then you've got to think there's probably not a big enough gap between Kansas and Creighton to where Kansas could get away with not using their ace against Creighton in that first game. You know what I mean? Like they're going to have to pitch the Cooper Moore kid who was all Big 12, and so Arkansas will get their number 2 on. Like I'm just looking at their starters here. I don't know. Dominic Vogel, who made 15 appearances and 15 starts. He's 7-4 with a 5.34 ERA, and the other kid who made 10 starts for him, Cannon Carr, 5-1 but a 4.42. He might have been a midweek guy. Look, he's got 10 starts and 18 appearances, so he might have been a bullpen arm on the weekend and a midweek starter. So if Arkansas doesn't have to face the Cooper Moore kid, the offense should be able to rake, I would think. They're probably going to be fine.
Curtis, can you tell me the name of that reliever? They have one reliever who has like a decent strikeout ratio, and I think he has like 7 saves on the year. They only really have one top-notch reliever. That's another thing, is if they're able to use that, if they have to use that guy in game 1, you'd be going into a matchup with Kansas where you could face like their gap between their number 1 and number 2 starters pretty big. Their gap between their number 1 and number 2 relievers pretty big as well. And so definitely some things that we'll have to keep an eye on.
The reliever I think that you're talking about for Kansas is Alex Breckheimer. 5-0 with a 3.8 ERA, 7 saves in 45 innings, 48 strikeouts, and 12 walks there. So,
yeah, and like I think they have another guy that has some saves, but his ERA is like not. I think it's in the high 5s or something like that. Like, and honestly, the weird thing about Kansas is a lot of these teams, like Ole Miss, you look at their pitching staff, they pretty much only use 6 or 7 guys on the weekend. The thing that's interesting about Kansas is there's like 12 pitchers on their roster who have thrown 25 innings. Like, they've used a lot of these guys a lot. And so that maybe makes you a little bit cautious, but they don't really have those put you away power arms that Arkansas has seen a lot of in SEC play. You're not going to face that type of velocity for sure.
Right.
Man, I'll give a credit to D1 baseball. I mean, they got a lot of it right, which, that's what they do.
They did well, didn't they?
Yeah. I mean, the only one that
they were
missed
all over this for weeks.
Yeah.
They're better than Joe Lenardi.
Yeah. It's Joey brackets. It's because they had Arkansas's nailed except for Little Rock, which, would have made a lot of sense sending Little Rock to Arkansas. But the one thing about it, though, is that they had Kentucky as one of the first 4 out teams, and UConn is one of the last 4 in. UConn did not get in. Kentucky did. So, but either way, yeah, that's pretty accurate and pretty well set up. So, we're going to find out a lot more about it from, Dave is going to do his pregame stuff, and there's regional press conferences. So we'll find a little bit more on that, and also find out more about the timing of these games. I just looked at the weekend, guys. I know it's right now, but finally looks perfect. I mean, could not be more perfect. You got Friday, 72 degrees and sunny. Saturday, all day, 76 degrees and sunny. Sunday, 80 degrees, sunny. So let's hope it stays that way, because nothing worse than delays and all that stuff. But yeah, looks like, at least the weather-wise, for you Razorback fans going to be making the trip, it's going to be great, thankfully, because I feel like we haven't had a nice weekend in Fayetteville for years, it seems like. So
I wonder how the fans are going to react to this, because every single week that Arkansas has a home series, on like Tuesday, I start getting texts. Dude, they're not going to play it all this weekend, man. Dude, the rain, I'm telling you, the rain, there's going to be a tornado that takes out the entire stadium. So I don't know. They're not going to be able to play those games. And then obviously every weekend they get all 3 games in. So I don't know how the fans are going to react to this. Can I read y'all a text I just got from my LSU buddies?
Yep.
Yes.
And I quote, Arkansas got kind of hoed, to be honest.
Well,
I mean, in a way.
I mean, honestly, it's fair. It's good to see that the masses are seeing what has been done to our precious pig.
Yeah. Well, but here's the deal. Maybe it's just because, I look at it this way with Razorback baseball specifically. I don't care about getting, it doesn't matter, because the times I felt good, they lost. The times I felt bad, they lost. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about the draw. I don't care about what is like, oh man, this is bad. I don't care, because it hadn't mattered before anyways. So who knows? Maybe this is the time it all works out for them. But just that game 2, man, as we all know, game 2 is it. That is it. No matter who you play in that, I know you got to get through game 1 game at a time, all that nonsense. But game 2 is it. You win that, you win the regional, plain and simple, because you've lost the last 2 game 2s in your regional and a loss. So it's the key. It's the kicker. Whatever Dave needs to do, go all in on that game 2. I don't even care. Throw our guy Will McIntyre as the starter in game 1, and then in game 2 have Root, Gackle, just have them all be starters. I don't care. Whatever.
By the way, John, you know who agrees with that take is Ozzy Maverick.
Oh, well, never mind.
But I will say, I don't think that's the craziest thing at all. Starting Will McIntyre. Will McIntyre started, hundreds of games throughout his career. He's pitched in all these moments. Like you definitely don't worry about the moment being too bright for him against the Bison. of North Dakota State or anything like that. He's also pitched big in postseason games. Also, he's been pitching as well as anyone on the roster here lately. So there's a case to be made from there. And I do think that it could set you up to where you save Root, you save Wood, or whoever it is you want to save. Maybe you can save Gackle, but Will McIntyre is a guy that could eat up innings to where maybe because your goal in that game 1 against the 4 seed is to not have to use, regardless of who Arkansas starts, you don't want to have to use Gabe Gackle, which they did, by the way, last year. They had to use, matter of fact, I think they used Gabe Gackle and Will McIntyre last year. You remember that first SEMO game was all over the place. They ended up winning it like 12-9 or something like that. That set the tone for the entire weekend. So regardless, we can talk about who Arkansas needs to start. I could very well see them starting Root. I'm sure we'll get some indication from Dave, whether it ends up being Wood, whether it ends up being McIntyre. I'm more worried about how Arkansas details their bullpen because I think you need to have a lot of those guys because really the formula for this Arkansas team has not been relying on their starters. Whereas last year when we were having this conversation about when do you pitch Hagen Smith, it's a completely different conversation. The formula for this team has been kind of piecing it together with their bullpen. So I just hope they're in a position to do that in that game too, because it's so important. And in terms of just the draw and the difficulty of it, I definitely don't think this regional draw is like one that we're going to tell our grandkids about how tough of a matchup it was. Oh man, I mean, even if Arkansas loses, I think the story would be Arkansas lost. I think that was the story last year. Like I didn't think Arkansas lost because their regional was such a tough draw. But and then even the super regional draw, are we really going to sit here and piss and moan that Arkansas has to play a team that they literally beat in a series at the exact venue that they're playing the super regional at? Are we going to really cry that much about it? And it's a team that, we like playing against. It's a coach that Dave Van Horn likes coaching against. I really think like it's not the most ideal situation, but I really don't think we need to spend too much time complaining and being like, oh man, this is just crazy stuff. I'm with you there, John. Like Arkansas just needs to take care of business. And this regional sets up pretty well to where it should be a low stress, go take care of business, get the job done. Kansas should be kind of happy to be here. Let's just be honest. Kansas has had a great year. This is not a super storied program. We've ended their season in basketball. We've ended their season in football in the Liberty Bowl. Let's go ahead and end their season in baseball.
Yep, because they'll be owners of those folks in Lawrence if that ends up happening. But it is official though. 2 p.m. Friday will be first pitch.
Okay.
So it is official, and we're going to, of course, we're going to be covering it all and just hang out with us post game, following the game, which should be ending around. Hopefully, it ends at 3:30 because Arkansas Run rules them, and we could just move on. But either way, we're going to be at Foghorns after the game to come and hang out. But really big shout out to our friends over at Trevero Clothing for being the official sponsor of our postseason and our coverage of Bombastic and for Razorback baseball as well. So, but yeah, game's going to be at 2 p.m. It's going to be on ESPN Plus. So for those of you who can't make it to the game, that's the way you're going to have to watch it. Is
get that checkbook out.
Exactly right. Start paying for it. Which just not again. We're not going to talk about that. I could spend a lot of time talking about that nonsense no one cares about. So, but yeah, I can't wait to hear what Dave has to say about it because there's been times where he's like, oh, we got a really tough draw. But there's times that he comes out and he feels confident about it. But just go out and take care of business and everything, and it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be totally fine. It'll all go well. So, let's see. Also. How many teams? Just we'll get to the chats and everything. But how many teams do you think from the SEC make it to Omaha out of the 8?
4.
4. Yeah. Will be the top 4 seeds.
No, it's not going to be that simple.
Okay. All right.
I don't think Texas or Vandy make it to Omaha.
Man, yeah. It's going to be. Going to be electric no matter what when you have SEC teams going there, but it'll definitely be a lot more fun when you have the SEC teams that are taking over and being the majority of them there. But just take care of business, Arkansas. That's all we can ask. Just take care of business. All right, let's go ahead and we'll get to your chats real quick, though. For our Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by our friends over at Alumni Hall, the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. You want to get geared up for regionals? Go online, InsideArkansas.com/Alumni Hall. Use that promo code HOGS20, get 20% off your purchase. It'll be delivered straight to your door, or you can go in-store at 3417 North College Avenue and use that code as well. And you'll also get 20% no matter what. It's with Alumni Hall, the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. I just put the poll question out there for everybody. Do you like Arkansas's draw in the postseason? As of right now, which has over 300 votes, 62% of you say no. So there you have it. I actually thought it would be.
I don't know that I'd call it favorable, but I also wouldn't call it them getting screwed or anything like that. I think it's just kind of the draw that you'd expect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
think
I'm
that's
kind of
fair.
neutral on it, you know?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know if I would call it favorable. Certainly not. Although I got to say, like, and I want to be careful because obviously I'm setting myself up here to get dunked on when Arkansas, pisses down their drawers in the regional. I don't think this regional is like something. One, it's the one that we've been, like you said, projected to see all along. Aside from Little Rock, I really don't think there's a ton of controversy. Like, I'm not saying Kansas is a horrible 2 seed, but if you're going to get a 2 seed in your regional, that's about what you expect. Creighton is the same for a 3 seed. That's about what you expect. And so I don't know if I'd call it favorable, but it's probably closer to being favorable than some of the past ones we've seen. I think when people think about that disfavorable, when they think it's a bad draw, a lot of it is with the super regional. But at the same time, it's like you're not going to get some bum. You're not just going to get some the number 14 overall seed that just sucks, that hasn't played anybody or anything like that. Obviously, you'd probably rather not an SEC team, but I think you could do a lot worse than a team that you literally beat 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, also the margin for differences between, I've always said this about like recruiting rankings in football, but it's almost the same way when it comes to baseball in this. It's like the margin of difference between Arkansas at the 3 seed and then like a team at the 10 seed is very small. I mean, we're talking about just a few games. And so that's, yeah, I agree. It's like when you're in super regional, especially if you get there, like you said, Andrew, it's not like you're just going to be playing some scrub. It's like, oh man, well, we get to open up against a team we would face in the opening series of a regular season that we play in 4 games just to warm up. It's like, no, you're going to be playing a really good team no matter what. So you're going to get their best shot. And as we saw, which I know we'll talk about in a second, but as we saw with softball, one bad inning makes the difference. One bad thing. That's why you have to be on your A game. You cannot. It's one thing for another team just to beat you, but you can't beat yourself. You can't be doing dumb stuff. You can't be having errors. You can't be making just bad decisions. You got to be on your A game. And I'm talking about players and staff. Everybody's got to be on their A game no matter who you're playing. So you got to take care of business. Got to.
John, you mentioned taking care of business and not doing dumb stuff. That's one thing when you look at this Tennessee team. They kind of do a lot of bad stuff, like a lot of dumb stuff. I mean, they obviously, fielding percentage wise, they're one of the worst fielding teams in the SEC, whereas Arkansas is one of the best fielding teams in all the country. I think if you're an Arkansas fan and you're trying to contextualize this and talk yourself into this regional, one, you have a Tennessee team that's not as good as they were last year. Now, obviously, they won the national title, so they were probably going to go down anyway. If you can't beat this Tennessee team at home when they're in a little bit of a down year, when they're honestly weren't even projected to host until a week ago anyway, like they've been trending down a little bit. Like if you can't beat this Tennessee team at home when you've already beat them, I think that says a lot more about you than it does about, you getting screwed by a draw or anything like that. And so look, and I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Obviously, like Tennessee is a really talented team, loaded lineup, and a damn good Friday night starter. And if there's one thing that concerns me, it's that Arkansas had so much success against Liam Doyle. Can they do that again in a super regional setting? Maybe not. But I think if you're Arkansas and you're trying to contextualize this, I think if you can't beat this Tennessee team, like, you didn't deserve to win the national title. Like, it is that simple. And so I think it's honestly a pretty necessary stepping stone for this program and this team to take to beat a team they've already beaten. But I think it's set up well for this team. And then if you do, you think about how much confidence you're going to have going into Omaha. If you beat that Tennessee team again, how fired up the fan base is going to be. I think like if you want to win the national title, you have to beat teams like this, and you get a chance to do it at home. Honestly, I really don't think it's like a horrible setup that we should be pissed at the world about.
There's an old saying that you're the champs until you ain't the champs no mo. And Arkansas has a chance to make that a reality for Tennessee. So I think you're onto something there. And you're right, man. We know how talented that Tennessee group is. I just hope that it happens, though. At this point, like that's how I really felt with the basketball draw. It's like, oh, well, whatever, just get through Kansas, and then you get to do the thing with St. John's. That would be cinema. That'd be theater. We want that. Arkansas and Tennessee just need to take care of business here and make this a reality. At this point, if we have the draw and we're going to have all this buildup here, no funny business in the regional from Arkansas and no funny business from Tennessee. Like if Wake Forest wins that regional and comes to Arkansas, like I'll be happy about it because of what it means for the Hogs. But I'm not going to lie. There'll be a small part of me that will be like, but I wish that Arkansas could clinch on their home field with Tony V sitting there at the edge of the dugout looking crazy. I mean, that would be electric.
Let me ask y'all this: if Arkansas does get through the regional and it ends up being Tennessee on the other side, will this be the best postseason atmosphere we've ever seen at Baum-Walker Stadium?
It's going to be
It's going to be a madhouse, dude. NC State brought a pretty good, that was a pretty good atmosphere. Arkansas versus Nebraska on a Monday night is the one. Like, that was a Monday night game that we reference as like the best crowd we've ever seen. And we had a pretty good crowd just a couple weeks ago. I think it's going to be on a different level if it's Tennessee and Tony V versus Arkansas, especially because if you're coming off of a regional win, the fan base will be a little bit more fired up than they are right now. I think we could be setting ourselves up for, like you said, Curtis, like one of the, it's going to be a lot. I think if it ends up being Wake Forest, it would kind of kill that buzz a little bit. We'll obviously take it because it'll be an easier matchup. But I'm starting to really get excited the more I think about it.
It's going to be an anxious energy if it gets to that point. Anxious. True. Because I don't care what anybody says. Yes, it'll be awesome, electric, all of that stuff like you guys said. But there ain't a Razorback fan worth their salt that's going to be going into that, be feeling good, feeling like, like no one's going to. Now,
John, you're sleeping on how insane these folks are. Like, it won't be that hard. I mean, hell, we've already talked ourselves into it in 10 minutes. Well, this Razorback fan base is going to be fired up. They're going to be, by the time that series rolls around, they will fully expect to whip their ass.
Well, and I was going to say, the way I could see it, especially is if Arkansas just wrecks their regional and just rolls through it like it's going through tissue paper. Like, if they do that, then definitely. But I just feel like there's going to be a lot of nervous, anxious energy out there no matter what. But hey, all you got to do, listen, when in doubt, if Arkansas's got a lead, whether it's game 1, game 2, going into the 7th inning, bring the dude. Get Will McIntyre, Big Mac. Have him shut him down with the Dubs.
Go get Daddy on him. Go
That's
get
right.
Daddy to get
Daddy
the
Mac.
I like that. John, I'll say to your point about that anxious energy, I've attended like NLCS games at Busch Stadium with the Cardinals where it was that anxious energy. And I remember sitting there being like, it's not as loud as I expected it to be in here, but you could just feel like the tension in the entire stadium. But it was almost like subdued. It's just weird because you know how it is. Sometimes if you're a little bit nervous or you got that feeling in your stomach, you got the butterflies and everything, you're not as, boisterous. You're not putting it all out there as much. Multiple times I've been to playoff games at Busch where it's been like that. And eventually you settle, like once something good happens, then you settle in and it starts getting rowdy and it starts getting crazy in there. But if, I remember like the Washington Nationals, and they struck early on the Cardinals, and it was just like, it became very quiet, very quick because that everything that people were nervous about started to become reality. And everybody just like, oh shoot, here we go, man. So I could see some of that early and like in the build up to it. It's going to be important for Arkansas to kind of strike a little bit early and get some momentum back in there because it's a real thing, that anxious energy.
No, and the team, by the way, 100% can feel that. This team, they read Twitter. They see all of you psychos tweeting at them every day, telling them how much they suck and how much they're going to choke in the regional and how their coach is an old man and all this stuff. They already know that you're psycho, but when they're in that situation, and like you say, Curtis, it's 4th inning and Liam Doyle has 8 strikeouts and it's 1-0 and it's tough and that crowd starts murmuring and they start groaning. I mean, hell, we were there for game 1 just a few weeks ago against Tennessee and it was tense in there. The team can certainly feel that. And so that's 100% a factor here that like, there's a reason why Arkansas, that 2022 team kind of needed to go on the road and get away from that, needed to get away from their own fan base. But I also think if you can, Arkansas's got some experience doing this because again, I know I keep harping on it. They literally just did this 2 weeks ago. Like they had that same situation that we're talking about where you have the tense crowd and you lose game 1 and now they're all nervous for game 2. And Arkansas was able to overcome that. I think that experience is going to help them. And I also think, again, the big picture is trying to win a national title. If you can win this super regional against Tennessee when, we feel like the world's against you and everyone's kind of circled this as the upset pick and Tennessee fans are starting to get cocky. If you can win in those circumstances with your own fan base against you and with the tense crowd and all that, going into Omaha and facing LSU all of a sudden is going to feel a little bit easier. Going into Omaha and facing North Carolina or Vanderbilt or Texas or whatever it is, like it's going to feel a little bit easier. And I also think, we haven't talked about it a ton on this show. It's how often have you ever, I don't know if it's ever happened where the number 1 and number 2 overall seeds, Arkansas swept both of them. They are 6-0 against those teams. And so I think there's a way that Arkansas comes out of this and the confidence that this team would have been able to build going into Omaha, could be on a different level than and like nobody else is set up with this opportunity like Arkansas, where they've played all these teams. They've beaten all these teams. So by the time they get to Omaha, if they've come over this Tennessee hump, I think Arkansas is going to be kind of a monster by that point, and I don't think anybody's going to want to play them.
You know what's hilarious?
What's that?
Just a little bit off top, but like 13 SEC teams make this tournament, and the 3 that didn't, Missouri baseball,
of course.
But then it's South Carolina and Pulmonary, and then it's preseason number 1 Texas A&M. What are we doing here, bro?
That is funny. That is funny. That's great.
All right. I saw a thing on Twitter and it was like 13 SEC teams making. I was like, all right, so who didn't? Oh wow, that's kind of crazy. Anyway.
Oh,
well, man. At least their softball team was the number 1 overall seed in the tournament, Curtis.
They were that indeed. Yeah, they were.
They were that. Man, yeah, because I know we'll get to your chats, but also real quick, I text our guy Eric Kane, who does Locked On Balls and Ball Quest over there. I just like, hey, how do the fans feel about the draw for Tennessee? Everything. He goes, well, it makes sense. They actually hit the ball there 2 weeks ago, so that is good, but they feel good about it. So I was like, okay, so Tennessee fans.
Okay.
You get a little cocky, getting a little too big for his britches, that Eric Kane, huh?
Yeah. I'm telling you right now, if Tennessee loses in the regional or super regional, just based on how the things have gone, the Vol fans are going to want him fired. Vitello's going to be out.
They hate Tony Vitello, bro. It's crazy. Every single tweet. I follow Ben McKee, who works for 24/7 and covers their site for Tennessee, and I follow him on Twitter. I read the replies to every single tweet he puts out, and Tennessee fans are like, Tony, why does he do this? Blah, blah, blah. I can't believe it, man. He's too soft. And blah. I'm just like, good Lord, you'd act like y'all are not the defending national champions with the coolest coach in college baseball, the way they act. It's crazy. Tony, I hope you're paying attention and you're noticing the way that they treat you. Here at Arkansas, we would never shame our head coaches. We would never do such a thing.
No, in fact, you win a title here, you're a god. And
yeah.
we
seriously though.
Years.
I mean, we make fun of our coaches, but not if they win titles.
Yeah.
Is there a world where Dave eliminates Tony V, wins his College World Series, and retires?
Yes.
And then, and Tony V comes in.
Is
there a world where Tony V eliminates Dave and Dave's like, screw this, I'm out. And then Tony takes over? Is it?
I don't think so. I think if Arkansas wins the national title this month or in the next 3 weeks or whatever, and I've said this a long time, I don't think Dave would retire on the spot and just immediately be like, I'm hanging it up. I think he would run it back for one more year and kind of know deep in his heart that it's the last year. But again, I know it sounds cliche, it sounds like a joke. Like, I don't think Dave is worried about anything other than trying to get this team to Omaha and win a national title. Like, I really don't think he's sitting there thinking 3 steps ahead and is like, well, if we win here, then maybe I'll retire next year. And if we win next year, maybe I'll retire in 2028. Like, I really think he's just like, what do we got to do to win the national title? That's what his focus is every day. And then once he wins it and he goes home and he holds the triplets, he holds the grandkids, that timeline's certainly going to speed up. But I still think he would run it back for one more year and maybe do like a little bit of a farewell tour.
I could see that. Also, real quick before we get to the chat, guys, I want to see if you feel the same way, as weird as it is. The more that Arkansas wins in this postseason, the less the pressure is on. Isn't that weird? Like, to think about winning the title and how that's what Dave and Arts, but the pressure is going to be at its highest right now. And then once they get through the regional, it's like a little less, still high, a little less. And they get to Omaha, it's almost like, oh, thank goodness we're back. And then it'll change. Not saying there'll be no pressure, because there will be, but just the pressure's at the fever pitch right now, number one, because it's like it's weird. Usually it's more pressure builds. I think the pressure gets put off of Arkansas' shoulders as the postseason goes on.
Yeah, I agree with that, honestly. And that's part of why I feel like Arkansas as a team is going to get more dangerous as this thing rolls on. And look, man, you can't just manufacture confidence. You have to get that confidence from going out there and shutting up the detractors and going out there and winning that regional. And like you say, relieving some of that pressure. And no, you're 100% right that, like, I think we all agree, and we've shared our own sentiments in our own text messages. Arkansas has to get to Omaha. Yep. Like, we're in that situation with this program and what's happened the last couple of years, the fan base and how they feel, the preseason expectations, the fact that you're facing a Tennessee team that is not in their make or break year. You kind of need to beat them in the super regional. And so I think once Arkansas gets to Omaha, we will have reached a point where we're like, okay, Now, if they go 0-2, you're not going to complain. I think Dave even said it in 2022. I'm never going to complain about a season that ends on this field. I'm never going to really we can be sad and obviously we want to win the title, but at that point, I think the fans should feel the same way. You should still be sad if Arkansas doesn't win the national title. Not saying you can't be frustrated, but you can't really be that mad about a season that ends in the College World Series. And so I think you're 100% right, John. The pressure will kind of ease up as it goes on. Maybe the Super Regional is an exception to that because there's going to be pressure this weekend. I think it'll go up a little bit maybe for that Super, but not about as much pressure as any other Super Regional where your season can end in any given moment.
Yeah. No, I feel you, man. I feel the same way. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and check how the chat's feeling and do a little vibe check presented by our friends over at Basis Health. We're changing the way healthcare is delivered by providing mobile medical visits to the comfort of your very own home. A doctor will come to your home for urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, and so much more. It's Basis Health. They're here for you when and where you need them the most. You can learn more at basishealth.org today. All right, get to some of your chats. Wanted to also give another shout out to Quinn. He gave us a massive super chat, and again, we appreciate it. We also appreciate your other super chat. He says, like y'all's draw, got a very weak 4 seed NDSU dumpster juice. Sure, Quinn, sure.
Listen, I will say, considering the fact that Arkansas's NCAA tournament run was ended by a 4 seed last year, I can appreciate getting a bad 4 seed. I would have preferred Little Rock because the in-state guys would like to, and a team that Arkansas's already beat, but listen, I'll appreciate it. I haven't looked into NDSU. I'll take your word for it, Quinn. But I hope they stink.
Also, real quick, I just want to read this. Sorry, we'll get back to the chats. Apparently, did you guys see this quote from Jim Schlossnagel? So apparently, the reaction to the team, I wasn't paying attention that much, but the reaction of the team was not good, not excited or anything when they were announced as their seeding. And he was asked about his team's muted reaction when seeing the team's name revealed on the bracket. He goes, quote, "I don't know how I feel about that, because I never want us to take that for granted. I understand it's Texas, but as long as I'm coaching here, I never want to assume anything. And I don't want us feeling like we're entitled to anything." I was like, oh, okay, off to a good start there. Apparently they didn't like the vibes and the reaction of the reveal there. So anyways, just thought that was pretty fascinating.
You have to talk yourself into being excited for the NCAA tournament. That's not a good sign.
Nope.
Yeah. Nobody loves being pissed off more than Jim Schlossnagel. So I'm sure he's thrilled, low-key, that he gets to complain about something. He should have thrown a little shot at A&M and been like, look, not every SEC team in our state is playing in this tournament, so we need to take this as an opportunity. He should have thrown a little shot there.
Yeah, that would have been perfect. I wanted to bring this up from Arkansas Big Poner 69. But he says, is this the biggest regional of Dave Van Horn's career?
I mean, yeah, because it's the next one. What I mean? They're always, but I will say, shout out to our guy Pooh Bear, who tweeted at me. He's like, is this the biggest moment in program history? I'm like, not really. But I mean, I think there's more pressure on this regional than any regional, which is fair. But if they win it, we won't look at it that way of wow, they won the biggest regional in program history. I think it only works that way if they lose.
Yeah. I feel like it is the biggest one because you said it's the next one, but because of the last 2 seasons, yes, it's this is like we talked about in the beginning. As the years have gone on, the past few years, the excuses are getting less and less. Last year, there was no excuse for what happened. This year is even more no excuse, whatever. You know,
there are even less than 0 excuses.
Yes, it's in the negative. That's how much there is no excuses for this. Let's see. Stewart says, did y'all see Wiggins with the elbow brace like he had surgery? ?
I didn't see that, but that is very interesting. We haven't heard an update on Wiggins in a while. Curtis, you're a medical guy. You're a doctor. You have your doctorate.
I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. Yeah.
Do you think is there any reason he would have a brace on without having surgery?
No. It depends on the brace, but no.
That is definitely. I didn't see that, so I appreciate whoever that was that brought that to our attention.
Yeah, I don't know if it was people thought that Adu Thero had a big brace on when we were at the practice in San Francisco, but he was getting it was like a treatment thing that he was getting on his knee. So I don't know if it's something like that or I just didn't see it, so it's hard to say. But if he had the the old dial up elbow brace on, then yeah, I mean he would have had surgery.
Are you sure you didn't confuse him with Nolan Souza? Because he definitely does have the little sling going on there. But no, if Jackson or if Carson Wiggins had a brace on his elbow, that is certainly a notable development. I did not see that, so I appreciate you bringing it to our attention.
Yeah, I didn't see it either. If I was somebody that didn't want my, from someone like him, where it's like you don't want anyone to know about it and stuff, I would just do something weird, like wear the Bobby Petrino neck brace just in the show. Just everyone's like, what does this mean? It's like means nothing, but I just thought I just wanted to have everybody freaking out about it. Or
Logan Maxwell should have had crutches on to prolong his hamstring injury.
Yeah, just somebody's in an iron lung, just like in the background, just like sitting there, on life support. Like, oh, what's wrong with this guy? It's like, oh no, he's good. He's just getting some oxygen. Let's see. Hogzilla says the question is, how does Tony V feel about having to win in Fayetteville? I mean, I don't know Tony V personally, but I'm sure he's probably excited about it. It's a thing where he has an opportunity to end Arkansas season and end his old mentor season in their place in postseason. I'm sure it's an opportunity he wants to have because he's a really good coach and he's a winning coach. So I would think he's excited.
You think he's going to let his boys turn it loose with the antics this time?
I don't think he'll fully turn it loose, but I do think he's going to be pretty fired up to play in Fayetteville. One, because he loves playing in Fayetteville. He loves playing at the best college baseball atmosphere in America. And I mean, seriously, he does. And I also just think he likes the position he's in because it's honestly, again, I don't want to say it's a can't lose position for Tennessee. I don't think Tennessee fans are viewing this season as you got to get to Omaha. You got to defend the title at all costs. I think they're kind of playing with house money a little bit.
Yeah. Let's see. Also, like this from Hickory Hog, where he's like, 3 bush lights is all it'll take to get the fans fired up. Well, maybe if it's the tall boys, then yeah, it'll definitely be that.
Maybe a couple beer bats will get them going.
There you go. Yeah. Just a few. Also, Hickory Hawk says, can we do a Vitello Hobbs co-head coach? No.
I'm sure they both sign up for that though.
Yeah.
These guys don't have big egos. I'm sure they would love it.
Hey, listen, same thing. Vitello and Wes Johnson coached together at Arkansas in 2017. Just have them both be co-coaches at Arkansas, co-head coaches. They'll do it again. Totally. Carson's saying that Dave Van Horn's about to talk on ESPN2, so that'll be. And
then he's about to meet with. I mean, it's 12:30, right? That he's meeting with the media, the Arkansas media.
Yeah. Which we'll be off the. We'll be closing up around 12:30, so we'll make sure that we can hear from what Dave has to say there. But, yeah, I like it though. I like it. Also, PK Birdsong says, "Buy Chris Lanzilli all the beer this weekend."
No, seriously though. Which, by the way, I love that Chris said that he was like, look, I don't know where I'm going to be sitting. I don't know what's going to be happening. He's like, but I do know I'm going to drink about 500 beers this weekend. Seriously, if you see Chris Lanzilli, if you see a Bostonian guy walking around, puffing his chest out a little bit, don't start a fight with him. He said he's going to be trying to start fights in the Hog Pen. But seriously, buy that guy a beer, man. He's a great Hog who was a part of a College World Series team. There's no reason that guy should have to pull out his wallet and pay for a drink at Bob Walker Stadium. Absolutely not. He's from Boston. Dude, the dude lives in Boston, and he's coming down for the regional. I mean, come on. You got to buy that guy a drink.
It's big time.
That's right. It's like him and Pat Bradley, the Bostonians of Arkansas, is really where it's at. So, I also want to just bring this up because this laughed as soon as we started the show. It just goes, "You guys cuss?" ?
John, dude. By the way, John, did you notice what happened last night?
With what?
John tweeted out, "shoot ... Oh. And at the exact same time, I just tweeted all caps SHIT. It was right as I guess it would have been when that solo home run was hit.
Yep. It reminds me of the scene in Hangover when they're getting mad and it's like he's like, God damn it, gosh darn it, Rat, shoot. It's like it's the same thing.
We appreciate you chiming in, Hog Thought.
Yeah. Like we didn't even start the stream yet, really. And he was just like, y'all cuss. It's like, sure. Yeah. Let's see. Hickory Hawk said, just went back and looked at that video. Wiggins and Souza both front row. Souza with the sling, Wiggins with the full arm brace. So yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not going to report anything. I've just not heard good news. That's all I'm going to say.
That does not sound good. Which, by the way, is why anytime we do the thing where they're like, "Oh, we did the MRI and it came back clean, like we're all good," I'm always like, "Well, maybe not." So I don't know what happened which led to that, but that sucks. The only thing I can think of that you would feel good about, I guess, is if they did the internal brace procedure and not the full Tommy John surgery, because Tommy John surgery is a legit 12 to 18 month thing. If it's the internal brace procedure, hypothetically, he could be back by January.
Yeah. I'm sure Dave will be asked about that today in his press conference, and we'll have a little update on that too. Okay, so again, we'll be rolling out of here in a bit. But I tell you what, we got to get to our best and worst of the weekend. Presented by our friends over at Looper Auction and Realty, where they're hosting a consignment equipment auction Thursday, June 6th at 9 a.m. at their new permanent facility down there in Van Buren, Arkansas. It's at 5701 Alma Highway. Buyers, you can expect heavy construction equipment, farm equipment, trucks, trailers, and so much more. You can't attend in person. Bidding is available online at looperauction.com and proxy bid. So you don't even have to be there in person. If you can't be there, you can do it that way too by going to looperauction.com. You got equipment to sell, call Looper Auction and Realty today at 479-996-4848. That's 479-996-4848. It's Looper Auction, sold in 30, closed in 30. So I'm sorry, I'm looking at Dave Van Horn's pretty beautiful face going on the TV right now. How about that?
A big smile on. See, look good.
It's a half cock smile, a little bit.
He got the Dracula flow vibes or no?
No, nothing like that. He's got a weird hoodie on that I've never seen before, though. Very strange. So it's like got a big gray Razorback hog. It's a Razorback red hoodie, but a big gray logo. I don't know. But
is your best of the weekend when you were hanging out with Dave yesterday?
Has to be. No, I mean, my best of the weekend was definitely seeing Dave, and he had some smiles on. The whole baseball team being there at the softball game was cool. Pretty much, it felt like the whole softball team. But no, like that was cool. Honestly, my best of the weekend was seeing the Razorback fans show out for softball, and in the way that, because I kind of talked about this in my Locked On this morning, but I just want to give a shout out to Razorback fans in general, because it just shows you if you have a good product, no matter the sport, if you're fun, if you're competitive, if you're entertaining, and all of that, fans are going to show up and they're going to support. And that's just so awesome to see how many people were there, loud, excited, engaged. Obviously didn't go the way they wanted, which I know we'll talk about, but I just want to give a shout out. My best of the week is seeing Razorback fans do that, fighting through the weather. They came out there when it was nasty outside and been all day, and for them to kind of go into it and to be excited about it and to be supportive. When you're seeing tickets go for $150 for a softball game, and considering where it was 10 years ago when I was in school, when Arkansas went back-to-back years of going 1-29 or whatever it was really cool. So my best of the weekend was which I know we'll talk about it in the worst, the support that Razorback softball gets and sports get in general at Arkansas when you're really good at it.
Not that I think your opinion on softball matters, John, but I like that. I agree. I thought it was cool, man. I enjoyed watching, and especially you also got to consider the weather. Yesterday, pretty much up until about game time, it was just a torrential downpour. So to see the place still full and packed and rowdy and everything like that, I thought was pretty neat for sure. My best of the weekend is it's move-in weekend. It's insane. It feels like it's only been a couple weeks since we got back from the NCAA tournament, but Arkansas basketball is moving on to campus. They start summer classes tomorrow. They start summer practices, later in the week or maybe early next week. So like the fellas are arriving. I saw Darius Acuff put a thing out on Instagram where he was at the airport getting ready to come to Fayetteville. That's very cool. And so all these guys are going to be here, and they're start putting this thing together. I know we're still waiting on announcements from one guy in particular, but a couple. And you just have to wait. I mean, the dude's just taking his time. I was talking about on the Pod of the Palace with Carter. I was like, it'd be funny if he just those guys will be in the practice facility or in the gym or whatever, and they just take a picture of their sneakers and drop a pin. He should just do that, and be like, oh, Bud Walton. And like, that's how he announces that he's coming back or something. Just very, very casual like that would be awesome. But it blows me away because you still have current season stuff going on. Like softball just ended, baseball postseason's just starting, but then you have next year's basketball team moving on to campus to get started. It's crazy, but I love it. It's literally a year-round sport now.
There's nothing better than when stuff's going on, and obviously I have notifications for both you and Curtis. John, I turned yours on after you got butthurt that one time that I didn't. I do have notifications on for you. I get the push notifications.
Good.
But it's always funny whenever because usually when I see that one of y'all tweeted, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Let me go check it. And there'll be something, it'll be in the middle of something, and then it'll be Curtis retweeting JJ Andrews, a highlight clip, or just some random basketball thing. I'm like, you know what? Love that he's staying on brand. Appreciate that. Best of the weekend. I'm with you, John. Where like the support for softball was cool, and like, look, obviously the result they didn't make it to the College World Series. That sucks, and we'll have to wait. I really am like, we can talk about the games, we can talk about whatever, and where the program stands. The only thing that hit me is just sadness, like seeing Courtney Difel like crying and hugging her kids, and her kids were crying and all that. But seeing everyone rally behind, seeing, like you said, the whole baseball team, I love seeing that. I love the clip of, like, I guess it was like Cam Kojal, the Loy brothers, Justin Thomas, a few other. And like, we're talking about this baseball team and all this pressure they have on them, all this, tense atmosphere that they might be walking into. And, oh man, they just played bad in Hoover. Are they going to be all upset? And that they're just like, we're college kids. Our school's playing softball. Let's go support them. And I'm sure Dave gave them a text that was like, hey, you have to go. But it was cool to see them like getting fired up and supporting their girls. And I love seeing that stuff. I love seeing just like college kids be college kids, at least in that context, not all contexts. So that was cool. My best of the weekend, I got to be honest with you, I feel like I had like 3 or 4 things. I just got to be honest. I said Friday that Memorial Day weekend is like underrated as just not a sports weekend, but just a life weekend. Like it's not a holiday that anyone would say is their favorite holiday, but it's just a great time. You had a little bit of the long weekend with it being Monday, even though us, we're here working. Not everybody is, and so I'm sure there's a lot of people that are enjoying that. The weather was horrible this weekend, but it was still cool. We're down here in Arkadelphia. We went and saw Stitch on Saturday at the Little Rock Theater.
Heck yeah.
Saw Lilo and Stitch. There was a lot of people there for that. That's always a good time. Had some Chewies. By the way, what's y'all's opinion on Chewies? Y'all like Chewies?
I like it.
I think it's quality for the price. You can get a lot of food for not a lot of money there.
You can get a big as your face burrito for not that expensive. For I don't know what it is. The one in Fayetteville doesn't really do it for me, but the one in Little Rock here, tremendous. It's just so I remember Hillary and her parents, they love going to it, and I remember kind of being like, "Are we sure we want to go to Chewy's?" Because I'm thinking the one in Fayetteville, the one in Rogers, the one in Little Rock. I don't know who's running it, but kudos to them because it's a completely different organization. And so we had a good time there. And honestly, just a good time Memorial Day weekend, which, of course, we got to shout out. We got to shout out the troops. We got to shout out to those who laid down their lives so that we could have this cool long weekend. But I just continue to feel like it's a good time of year where it's the calm before the baseball regional storm. So there wasn't a ton of pressure. Arkansas did us a solid by not playing baseball this weekend. We didn't have to watch any baseball. We were just kind of hanging out, chilling, relaxing. I was with some family, and so that's always fun. I think Memorial Day weekend's underrated. I think it needs to get its respect as one of the better holidays.
No, I agree. It doesn't feel like a holiday, a 3-day weekend for like a lot of people, which I know they've been celebrating and all of that. But it's got to give the shout out though to all those who laid down their lives and everything too, because people got to remember that as well for us to do this and us to have these shows and everything. Want to get that out of the way before we get to the worst of the weekend. Do we have a joint one in this one? Can we just make it a joint one? I guess
I have 2, so it, like, but they're same.
Tell your non-softball one first, then.
Well, it kind of involves softball too. It's just getting absolutely owned by Ole Miss.
Yeah.
It just drives me nuts. I mean, the football, it is what it is, with the season last year and stuff, but they come into Fayetteville, they hang 63 on you and kind of embarrass you on your home field. Chris Beard comes into Bud Walton Arena and beats Cal, and then they eliminate him on a buzzer beater in the SEC tournament. Obviously beating the Razorbacks down there in Hoover and eliminating them. It's whatever, but it still happened. And then the softball super there at Bogle. It's like, what the actual hell is going on here? Drives me nuts. And there's no denying it. Like there's no escaping it. For this athletic calendar year, I mean, Ole Miss has just absolutely mopped the floor with Arkansas. Shouldn't happen, but it has. And we just have to wear that. For anybody who says it to us, kind of makes me feel sick to my stomach. So that was definitely one for me. I just don't like it at all.
I mean, Curtis, it says something that John Calipari was Arkansas's plan B because they wanted to steal Ole Miss's coach and could not steal their drunk, abusive head coach. I want that to really set in, that Arkansas tried to get a guy that is a PR nightmare and a guy that has some sketchy stuff, and they could not do it. And so they had to settle for John Calipari. I mean, it really is just crazy. And I think that kind of set the tone, if I'm being honest with you, because that was a blow in the moment, having Keith Carter tweet out all the stuff. And, and then football season, which we knew. And anytime we have these conversations about who owns Arkansas and who does what, a lot of times if you own Arkansas in football, that doesn't really offend me too much. Like, it really, if I'm being honest, it just doesn't. So the football loss really didn't even bother me too much, although it was the worst loss of the season. You lose in basketball to them in the regular season and SEC tournament. You did beat them in a series in Fayetteville, but Ole Miss was the team that showed us that Zach Root was human twice. That's a tough one, man. And like you said, it's just one we got to wear. Ole Miss is our father for right now.
Yeah, and as I want to point out too, I know it sucks, but it's like, hey, these things change year to year, because it was just a couple of years ago where Arkansas did that to Ole Miss, and they were owning them in football and in basketball and in baseball. So now it's all cyclical, but yeah, it does suck right now for that. But I think the joint one dealing with Razorback softball, and I know you guys feel very strong about this too, but the gatekeeping of this particular sport in general. For those of you who don't know, in what gatekeeping is, or at least in the way that we're referring to it, is when you got a lot of people that are following and rooting for a sport and talking about it, and it's kind of new as far as the success of it and the people that are it's a growing sport, maybe be the best way to put it. And then when people start really get into it, you have people who feel entitled because they've watched it for a few more years than you, or they've gone to more games than you, or whatever, feel like that you can't have an opinion on the sport because you just haven't been there. And it's this sense of entitlement that's just the worst type of fan. And it's unfortunate that we had to see that so much with softball. And it's not just this past weekend, it's been going on for a bit. And I absolutely despise that type of thing from any fan more than anything. It's the worst type of fan. It's like, I just can't understand the logic behind it. If you're wanting a sport to grow, if you're wanting a sport to do things and become really great, well, guess what? It's going to come with fans, and fans are going to care. And when fans care, they want to be critical, but they'll also be praising. They'll be there. You can't just pick and choose the type of fans you want. The fans are going to be fans no matter what. So it was just really irritating to see people who just feel so entitled to almost look down upon other fans because, say, for softball instance, people were frustrated by the way that it was going. And they're like, well, you just because you haven't been here for every single game and been in the front row every single time and you haven't been rooting for them, you can't have an opinion. Worst type of fan, also our joint worst of the weekend, because, man, that was really annoying.
Yeah, that stuff bothers me, man. I really enjoyed watching softball, and it's just like anybody else. Like when things are happening, you want to interact with other people who are out there watching it. And so, you post on social media or whatever. And I don't feel like anybody should ever be made to feel like they're not allowed to have an opinion, or they're not allowed to, it turns you off to it. Like I could imagine a lot of people out there who were invested in that game. They love the Razorbacks. They want to see them win, whether it was the first game or the 5th game or the 50th game that they'd watched throughout the course of the year. And you kind of feel attacked, for say, like, if you're frustrated because you give up a 4-run first inning and you allow home plate to get stolen twice, and you just say, wow, that wasn't ideal. It's like, you're a casual. You're not welcome. Tell me you haven't watched softball. Tell me you haven't watched softball. That kind of stuff is really, it's nauseating. And, I'm sure Courtney Deifel and the team, like, they want all the support they can possibly get. Like the grow the game thing is very real. So allow that to happen. So that did bother me quite a bit. And, we talked a lot about the softball program on this show. And yeah, of course, football and, men's basketball and baseball, those are the big three. And it's what generates a lot of the interest. Those things are all true. And that's why we talk about them quite a bit. But I don't know that there's been, many heavy hitter segments or whatever where we haven't mentioned Brie Ellis, or we haven't given credit to Courtney Deifel for the job that she's done, or Jordan Weber with the gymnastics program or whatever. We're all fans of the Razorbacks and appreciate the Razorbacks. And you should be more worried about why aren't you taking shots at Ole Miss fans, or so, you know what I mean? And there are people who are actually at the game in a do or die winner take all game 3. And they're more worried about what other people are saying about the softball game on Twitter than sitting there and watching it. And so that kind of stuff just blows me away. I hate the gatekeeping. It drives me crazy, and it kind of turns me off from wanting to get overly involved with it because it's not worth it. That stuff's that's really frustrating.
Yeah, and I want to make an important clarification here, and I agree wholeheartedly with what you guys are saying. It's one thing, like, because we all deal with this, because the three of us, we cover our sports, we cover all the sports, and we interact with fans all the time, and we get annoyed by certain opinions that fans have, and we disagree, and we tell them why they're wrong. And I get being frustrated by someone, saying something bad about your team, and you don't think it's fair, and you think they're, whatever, and you want to disagree. That's all fine and dandy. What I don't like, and I believe we're all, referencing the same person, their gripe was about people having an opinion. They didn't even say, oh, you said that Courtney Deifel's a choker. Well, actually, she's won all these games. That's one thing. If you're upset and you differ with the opinion, you're upset that people have an opinion, and you think that people who haven't been going to every game and haven't been, only focusing on softball all year can't have an opinion. And that's crazy. And here's the thing about this. Courtney, there's nobody that's more upset right now than Courtney Deifel and those players. And hell, you could see it. Brie Ellis. I mean, she literally just like collapsed as soon as that final out was made. Nobody's hurting more than them, but all those girls involved with the program, all the men and women that put them in that position, they've worked their entire lives and their entire college careers to get to the biggest platform possible. That's why you do it. When you're in the backyard playing with your brother or your sister, you're envisioning, oh, I'm in front of 10,000 fans and they're all cheering. Your goal as an athlete is to try and get on the biggest stage possible in front of the most eyeballs. Now, realistically, a lot of those eyeballs aren't going to watch you throughout the entire year, and that's kind of part of it. And if you want to be frustrated by that, cool. But like this, when you play in big games, when your program elevates to the point where you're competing for College World Series and competing for SEC titles, competing for national titles, you're going to attract a lot of audience, which is what all of these girls want. Which is what like when Courtney Deifel came and took the job, this is what she was trying to build as a program that we could all get behind, a program that we could all be invested in, a program that we could all be proud of. And so for the fans who, by the way, and like, look, they're great fans and they go to every game. That's fine. You don't need to attack other people and be like, oh, you're not doing what I'm doing, so you can't have an opinion. Like, it's a very weird way to go about it. And you use that term, grow the game, which is something we laugh and joke about with baseball and softball all the time. It's crazy how many people inside that fan base, like you say, want to gatekeep. They don't want it to be on a bigger platform. They don't want it to be in a bigger audience, which, look, you're entitled to feel that way. I just would let you know that literally everyone involved with the program, top to bottom, disagrees. There's a reason why Dave Van Horn made his baseball team go to the games. They know how big that support is. That is the literal goal of all of these programs, is to get as many people on board as possible. And you are actively trying to prevent people from getting on board. You're actively trying to shame people for talking about something that you are also talking about. It's like, it's very bizarre. And I don't know, and it just sucks to see and honestly, the Razorback fan base could honestly just be, and I don't want to say the entire fan base, because there's plenty of great fans. There's plenty of great softball fans. Hell, Curtis, do you remember the name of the young lady that came up to us at the basketball game and was like, I need y'all to talk about softball. She just wanted us to give them more coverage. Mm-hmm. That I can get behind. And that's completely fair. When people say, hey, why don't y'all talk about this more or whatever, I can hear that way more. And we can tell you why we don't talk about it in certain contexts. I can get behind those kind of fans who want to build that excitement and want to spread that joy, want to spread their love. Hell, even some of the people that are like diehard Razorback fans, the Razorback softball fans, that some of the fan base bullies and gets all crazy about. I'm not going to say specific names. Even those people, I don't have that much of an issue with, because they just love their team and they want to see as much people excited about their team as they are. That I can get behind. It's when you're trying to gatekeep and trying to get mad at people simply for having an opinion. And you're like, oh, if you weren't watching all year, you shouldn't watch now. I just think that's a stupid mentality. And I think it's weird when the Razorback fan base, whenever we get mad at other fan bases all the time, but we get mad at each other for stupid stuff. It's just, it's annoying.
Yeah, no, I think you said it, man. And I'll say this real quick, because I know we're about to close up here, but as weird as it is, the greatest compliment that you as a program, and if you're trying to grow your game, the greatest compliment you can ever receive and have is people being pissed off when you lose. I mean, because it just shows how much you care. It's easy to care when you're winning. It's easy to care and be fun and praising and all that. But when it's people who are mad because you lost, shows how much they care. And care goes a long way when it comes to support, when it comes to energy, when it comes to all of that. So it's a compliment for that. Real quick, a few things before we roll out of here. Shout out to Grant. Appreciate the super chat. He said, Andrew, how's your family? Says, I met you guys at Alumni Hall. Remember talking with him. He says, greatest show. Woo Pig Suey. I'm the guy who lost both of his parents at the age of 31. Yeah, we appreciated that, man. It was good talking to you.
Yeah, Grant. Appreciate you reaching out, Grant. Appreciate you, coming by Alumni Hall. Appreciate you saying those kind words, man. And it was cool to meet you and cool to hear about your family and some of that stuff as well. Appreciate you for asking. And my grandma, she's doing a lot better. She's back home now in Conway. She was going back and forth from Conway to Little Rock a few times. My dad's been up there. He's been going back. My dad's been driving back and forth from Monroe to Conway, which is like a 3-hour drive. Not a horrible drive, but he's been doing it a lot. So I feel bad for him, honestly. But she's back home now, and she's doing some rehab, doing some training. It doesn't, it's not one of those strokes that like really affects, some people have strokes and all of a sudden they have to learn their speech patterns. They have to relearn a lot of things. This one wasn't as bad. She's got a little bit of shoulder pain and shoulder soreness that she's having to work through, which I believe is the result of that. And so she's kind of working, but she's a warrior, man. She's in her mid 80s. She's 85 years old. And she like runs a flea market. She's retired, but she just always on her feet, always doing stuff. So she's frustrated that she can't get back to just doing normal everyday things. She's one of those people that doesn't like being taken care of. I think we all know people like that. They're like, they don't want to be the person that like people feel sorry for, the person that people are taking care of. She's tough as nails, man, but she's doing good. And now I'm sure she's probably, her husband, of course, died a couple weeks ago. And so that's always going to be there. That's going to sting, but she's doing well. And I appreciate you asking, Grant, man. That's awesome.
It's good to hear. Also, Adam says, will y'all be doing a live show from the regional? Yeah, just a reminder, we'll be doing post-game shows at Foghorns and next to Bomb for all the postseason, regional and super regionals. Omaha, we're going to be in Omaha, so it won't be for that. But yeah, as far as that goes, I'm sure that they'll have a few people there at that Foghorns throughout the regionals and supers. So, but yes, that's where we'll be. And also, I wanted to bring this up before we get out of here. Hickory Hawk says, I can see the headlines on the next article. John Neighbors shames true diehard Hog fans. Yeah. I was taking a lot of heat for a lot of things this past weekend. So that was fun.
I can't believe that didn't make. I completely forgot about that. Honestly, that would have been a good candidate for worst of the weekend. Maybe we'll save that for another day.
Yeah. Well, it was all very dumb and just weird, but yeah, eventful weekend nonetheless. Yeah, there's no doubt. But either way, well, fellas, great selection show. I think we covered the bases. I know we're going to continue to have coverage for baseball and bombastic podcast moving forward, and we'll have plenty of stuff to talk about this week. But it's a holiday, so let's get out of here a little early. Any final thoughts before we roll out of here?
Shout out to Adu Thero for edging all the Razorback fans on Instagram right now.
Oh, what? Okay,
oh no, what did he do?
Yeah. What?
He's been posting all these things, like from the combine or like the pro day or whatever, and he just posts a trifecta of stories, in his Razorback uniform, looking out at the crowd, in his Razorback uniform, dunking on somebody. I
can't wait for Adu Thero to announce he's coming back to Arkansas on his TikTok account, which is where, by the way, he posted that he was like, 36 days to the draft or whatever. And I can't wait for Curtis to have to type out a tweet. Adu Thero returning to Arkansas per his TikTok account. Whatever.
I don't have TikTok, so you are gonna have to tell me if it happens, but I will be doing that. So
Also respect to Adu Thero. Do what you got to do, man. Play the game.
Yeah. Sorry, real quick. I said this is my bad, Chris. Missed your super chat. You mentioned it. He says, I know we're talking baseball, but I'm curious about Carter Knox. Does he have till June 15th to withdraw from the NBA draft?
He has until Wednesday, buddy. The decision has to be made by Wednesday. So these guys are taking it to the deadline here. So,
which of course we knew was going to happen. Once he didn't announce right away, right after the combine, it's like, okay, now we know our date.
Yep. Yeah. And like some of these guys have still have workouts, and like I saw Jameer Watkins was in Toronto today working out, and he has to decide what he's going to do by Wednesday also. So it's one of them things, man. We wait.
Yep. It just feels like it's what we've been doing. It's like, I know you are just waiting, man. Just the waiting game, what it is. Andrew, any final thoughts before we're out of here?
My final thoughts are the hog is strong. Woo damn pig. We ran out of NIL money, and go talk to Remy.
There it is. Keeping those Sam Pittman quotes up. My final thoughts real quick. again, shout out to Trevero Clothing for being official sponsor here of our postseason live streams when it comes to Bombastic and all things baseball. Appreciate Hickey and Hull Law, and also Radiant Elements Medical Spa, all sponsors of our postseason baseball coverage. It's going to be awesome. So be sure to keep it right here at Inside Arkansas. But yeah, my final thoughts. Let's see. Don't accept mediocrity. Pine for the lies of the program, and don't have an opinion on softball. Those are the things that I have been told, and I will keep those and pass the message
I have
along.
one more thing to say, actually. Well, last thing.
What's up?
One, we didn't talk about the fact that the softball team has a very obvious built-in excuse, which is food poisoning. We found out it was Olive Garden that took Dave down in the SEC tournament in 2022. I'm counting on the chat. Someone in the chat, find out who it was that gave which local business gave the softball team food poisoning. Do you know, Curtis?
A lot of people are saying Torchy's online.
Ooh.
I don't know if that's confirmed or not, but I've seen that a lot making the rounds.
I've always been an anti-Torchy's guy, and now I feel vindicated.
They should have called Basis Health to come out there for that IV hydration.
Yep.
Yeah.
Should have made it happen. Should have made it happen. But yeah, I was kind of hoping that, I don't know, if I was in that situation, I'm always cooking myself, man. Give me some home cooking stuff, because it's so stupid. But you're right. That was something we didn't bring up, and that really sucked. Really sucked. So either way. But that does it for us, though. Really appreciate everybody listening and watching. I know it's a holiday, but we appreciate you guys jumping on with us. Enjoy the rest of your holiday. Enjoy the time. We're going to be right back here Inside Arkansas Live tomorrow at noon. Appreciate all of you tuning in. Subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas. Be sure to listen to all of our podcasts in the audio form wherever podcasts are found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pod at the Palace, or the Bombastic Podcast. And we'll keep it going right here. So for Andrew Ellis's as well as Curtis Wilkerson, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel. Tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your Memorial Day, folks. We'll see you then.